recognized symbol of excellence for your entertainment.
We don't think that we're special. We wake up in the morning and we put on our pants just the same way everybody else does. So therefore, we don't think what we are saying is that important.
Welcome to Machino Music the show that puts the music in Machino Music, with your host, me, Brett Strong. Today in Machino Music, it's W.A.S.P. 80's album ranking. I want to be somebody. Good afternoon, everybody. W.A.S.P. 80's album ranking. That's what we're doing here today. I've been wanting to do a W.A.S.P. show for a while. I've been trying to think of how to do it because they have a pretty big discography. And, you know, some of the albums, like their later, like 2000s albums, I don't really like. Although their last one that they put out, Golgotha, is pretty awesome. That's a really good album. And we might be getting a new W.A.S.P. album pretty soon. So, you know, there's just always the talk of it. Supposedly coming. Where are you on it, Blackie Lawless? So, but yeah, I've been trying to think about it, and I thought, you know, I know this won't include, spoiler alert everybody, this won't include The Crimson Idol, which seems to be everybody's favorite W.A.S.P. album. I do really dig that album, but I know I'm gonna make people mad here. I do think it's a little overrated. But I thought, okay, what am I gonna do? I thought, well, why don't I just do the 80's catalog? Because that's pretty well, I mean, that's when W.A.S.P. were like, okay, they were a dangerous band. Blackie Lawless at war with this record company all the time. And it's pretty much the whole thing. Like, Blackie Lawless is a really cool guy. Maybe a bit of a jerk, you know. I mean, there's some stories where it's always all about him. I mean, that documentary about Chris Holmes, longtime guitar player. There's some stuff he says about Blackie just like completely taking everything over. Very difficult to work with. But you know, hey, it was his vision, the band and everything. And, you know, I mean, I don't think he got a lot of credit for a lot of the stuff that he sort of pioneered, innovated. As we know, I mean, he could have stolen stuff. Who knows? Whatever. There's all this debate now about this guy, whatever. But I think Blackie Lawless is pretty cool. Actually, I want to show you something. Let's just go to a little clip here. This is my BC Rich Warlock, my all-time favorite guitar. And it became my all-time favorite guitar because Blackie Lawless played the BC Rich Warlock. Love this thing. So cool. Yeah, the Warlock guitar, the BC Rich Warlock. Love that guitar. So I just wanted to show you that there. Okay. So let's get into this album ranking. Again, this is how I like these albums. If you like them differently, that's perfectly okay. That's cool. And we're only doing the 80's catalog, which is like 4 albums. So let's get right into it here. Okay. Got Inside the Electric Circus. This one was like the first album I actually picked up, like of the 80's albums. Actually, the first W.A.S.P. album I got, believe it or not, one of the worst album, El Dorado. Because it was brand new at the time, so I was able to find it, like right there in the record store. This is 1999 when I really started getting into W.A.S.P. Started getting really big back into heavy metal and everything. It's like, oh, I gotta check out W.A.S.P. They look cool. And yeah, I got El Dorado. That album's not good. Probably why I didn't want to do a full album ranking, because I'd have to talk about that one. This was the first, you know, like of the first, like okay, of the classic era album that I got. And you know, I dig this. There's some good tunes. I just find it kind of runs out of steam, and I mean some of the songs are just kind of the opening, Inside the Electric Circus, love that. One of my favorite W.A.S.P. songs is the opening track. So good. The title track is so good. Love that. I love that riff. Every time I plug in to the BC Rich Warlock, And especially if I'm hooked up to a flange, I gotta play the intro to Inside the Electric Circus. Yeah, I love that. Their cover of I Don't Need No Doctor by Humble Pie, really good. Really like their cover of that tune. 9-5 Nasty was sort of like a single. That's a good song, but for some reason never really one of my big favorites, although it is a classic W.A.S.P tune. I dig it, but sometimes, sometimes I can do without it. I'm Alive is okay. They also did a cover of Uriah Heep, Easy Livin', not bad. Sweet Cheetah, okay. Mantronic is ridiculous. And also, yeah, but I mean, it's a good, the bonus track actually on here, I gotta mention, DB Blues, or Douchebag Blues, kind of a funny song, just a throwaway. That's where I put Inside the Electric Circus. Horrible album cover too. Blackie dressed as like a tight tiger suit, with in a cage, because why not? All right, next up I'm going from 1984, the debut. This is a great debut. It's considered one of the great heavy metal debuts. And W.A.S.P really got lumped into the whole hair metal thing, the glam metal. But this, even like early on, especially this album, like I found like they were so much darker than like a lot of the glam metal bands. Like this is pretty much like, especially someone's like Tormentor, The Torture Never Stops, closing out like that double whammy. Whoa. Really heavy tunes, really dark. Of course, the big hit on here was I Wanna Be Somebody. Great. And I was obsessed with that part in the video where Blackie Lawless is just spinning his hair around like that. What is he? It looks like his head's gonna fly off and go right into that fiery W.A.S.P logo. Insane. Love it. I always wanted to headbang like that when I had really long hair. But, I mean, I did that. My neck was like... That's probably the start of why I have neck problems. Forget the physical comedy. It was trying to headbang like Blackie Lawless. Jeez, yeah. School Days, really cool tune. I always really liked that one. Why that wasn't used in some high school 80s movie. Starts with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then it just goes really heavy riff. Dig it! Yeah. Love Machine, another one, yeah. Actually, the infamous song is included on some reissues of this. This is like an early CD version. I think probably sometime from the 90s. It says 1984 on it, so it's probably like an early, one of the first CD versions of this that I picked up at a thrift store years ago. But this doesn't have the original. They wanted to have the song, which is their infamous song. We all know what it's called, "Animal Like a Beast." Yeah, that was a song that got them on the PMRC. How dare this? Started the whole PMRC because of that song. What the hell is this? I mean, like, it was W.A.S.P and Twisted Sister were like this is everything that's wrong with music, everything, especially heavy metal. This heavy metal needs to be stopped. But that song was supposed to be under Guitar, but it was, of course, released as a single. Pretty well almost top to bottom like a perfect album, just like a perfect debut. It's a classic lineup of the band. Randy Piper, Tony Richards, of course, Chris Holmes, and Blackie Lawless. Yeah. So there you go. We're in the top 2, everybody. Can you believe that? Can you dig that? We're in the top 2 already. Yeah, like I said, only 4 albums, only doing the 80s here. Now, this is the hair metal album. Last Command. I put this, I did my all-time favorite hair metal albums, and I included this one because I think this, if you're going to call W.A.S.P a hair metal band, this is kind of the album where I thought there was kind of most hair. I mean, also Inside the Electric Circus, but this one especially because, I mean, you got Wild Child, which is like a total, and that could be a Motley Crue song. It's great. W.A.S.P, classic, got that really cool video. Ball Crusher is great. Jack Action, I wish we like to riff on that one. Blind in Texas. That's a total hair metal tune, total party tune. And the video, they walk in the saloon, really cool video. Two of my favorite W.A.S.P songs of all time are on here. First, Cries in the Night. I love Cries in the Night, originally called Mr. Cool. But I dig that tune. But this has my all-time favorite W.A.S.P song, one of my all-time favorite heavy metal songs, and that song is Widowmaker. That song is so awesome. I absolutely just love Widowmaker. Everything about that song is so awesome. That intro's really slow, then it gets really heavy, and just, oh man, so good. I once saw a video here on YouTube, I think it's still around, I forget, but it was like, somebody took one of the Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns. It was one of the Dollars movies, or it could have been like a mashup of all three. But they mashed it all up and put Widowmaker over it. Oh, whoa! Because there's never an official video for Widowmaker, but that's that. Like Clint Eastwood, the man with no name. So good. But yeah, this is going to almost be my number one just because of Widowmaker. But I think you now know what my number one is, and kind of always has been. The Headless Children. So great. This album I was just obsessed with. It's so heavy. I love the songwriting on it. I just love this album. Pretty much, I would say almost not a sinker in the bowl on here. Just so cool. I mean, The Heretic kicking it off. A cover of The Real Me by The Who. Great cover. The title track is fantastic. So heavy. Dig the title track. Thunderhead. Love that riff on Thunderhead. Mean Man, which is all about Chris Holmes, the blonde bomber. Actually, there's that infamous, that famous, the movie Decline of Western Civilization Part 2. It's that infamous scene which kind of like was like the end of hair metal, where the scene where Chris Holmes is in the swimming pool in the chair, and he's just guzzling vodka. Just point, his mom's sitting right there. Now, according to Blackie Lawless in an interview, sometime he did this video like maybe early '90s, right here in Canada on the Pepsi Power Hour. That's right, that was our heavy metal show here on Much Music, Our MTV. But he did an interview where he said that whole thing was fake.
Penelope used to be a friend of mine, and when we saw it, there was two segments that were shot. There was a piece that he did earlier in the day, which was the part that was supposed to have been used, and then you have another section, which is what ended up in the film, of him goofing off in front of the cameraman.
He was drunk.
He was not drunk.
But Penelope Spears, a director, who actually directed Wayne's World, that's her biggest claim to fame, I guess, but people most remember her for now. But she's sort of said in interviews like that it was real. I can't remember, she may have said it's fake, but Blackie Lawless went on record and said this is fake. That was fake. He wasn't actually drinking himself to death. That was water. That wasn't real vodka. So but I would believe. I mean, I kind of thought like, I tend to believe now that it was fake, because movies are a trick. Movies are magic. And vodka, I mean, it's just water. It looks the same, But, now that I think about it, I think, I mean, his mom is sitting right there. I mean, what mom, really, You're just gonna sit there and watch your son just drink himself to death? You know, I guess it's kind of like that porn video where Mia Malkova, she's like, her mom's sitting right there and she's giving this guy a pipe job. You know, it's kind of like that. I mean, it's like, it's creepy, it's disturbing, but, you know, I mean, that's just a BJ. This is like, it's not like she's like killing herself, but like Chris Holmes sitting there just guzzling, he's killing himself. And mom's sitting right there not saying anything. Yeah, so I tend to believe it's fake. Especially his mom sitting there. I mean, Penelope Spheeris is calling out to him that Chris, stop it. Where's mom? Where's mom? It's very irresponsible. That was a big rant I got on there, but yeah, you know. Here we go. But yeah, that song Mean Man, all about him. Got that great chorus. I'm a mean motherfucking man. Great. Yeah. Man Eater, such a great riff on that. Yeah. What I like about this too is that this version of Headless Children has some outtakes, some B-sides. It's got like a couple live versions, Love Machine, Blinded Texas. It's got these B-sides. And they do a great cover of Locomotive Breath by Jethro Tull. So awesome. I love that cover. I mean that's a great like heavy metal song, even though it's not a heavy metal song. But W.A.S.P make it to a total heavy metal tune. Just absolutely dig it. Yeah. Such a great riff on Locomotive Breath, and W.A.S.P do my favorite cover. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I just love this album. One of my all-time favorite heavy metal albums. And yeah, I used to listen to the hell out of this album. So there you go. That is the W.A.S.P 80s album ranking. And you know, maybe we can revisit some of the other W.A.S.P albums. Especially when they put out a new one, whenever this new one's coming. Come on, Blackie Lawless, where are you with the new album? Doing his reunion shows. Apparently he's a born-again Christian. You know, good for him. The guy who wrote songs like Animal Fuck Like a Beast and, you know, used to throw raw meat out in the audience, had girls, like, attached to racks and kind of like, ugh, insane shows. Crazy. He used to drink blood out of a skull. I mean, the stuff these guys were doing, I mean, it's crazy. And you just don't see a lot of bands like W.A.S.P these days. And maybe there's a reason for that. But, yeah. And you know, Blackie Lawless, you know, I haven't seen or heard really much of, like, what he's doing live. He's still doing a lot of that stuff, whether it's against his beliefs now, but I don't know. I just always dug this band. I love that they just sort of like don't take themselves too seriously, and they just have some really great tunes. And yeah, so I want to do a W.A.S.P 80s album ranking or any kind of W.A.S.P show for a while now. So again, this is how I like these albums. If you like them differently, that's perfectly okay. That's cool, even though there's only 4 albums. Not really a whole lot of breathing room here. But I'm a big W.A.S.P fan. If you're a fan, I hope you enjoyed this. That's it for this week. Until we meet again, this is Brett Strong saying good journey.